What's up, sports bettors? Matt here with OddsJam, and let's lock in this three-leg player prop parlay for NFL Sunday. Pretty cool. Caesars seems to be having something going on with these player props because if you filter specifically for Caesars, even if you keep the recommended filters on, and the recommended filters are awesome. They only provide betting opportunities where you are getting a true outlier when compared to every other sportsbook. So with these recommended filters on, you are getting the best of the best positive expected value bets. So I know that all three of these bets are going to be good. Jamar Chase over 5.5 receptions, Carson Wentz over 240.5 passing yards, and Dalvin Cook under 17.5 receiving yards. Now, just from a football perspective, I'll admit this Dalvin Cook one makes me the most nervous because he seems to be getting a decent amount of dump offs. Granted, his hands suck. He had a terrible drop against the Eagles on Sunday, or I guess Monday. But this one makes me the most nervous. These two, Jamar Chase over 5.5, Carson Wentz over 240, I absolutely love. I think these are really good. If you look at the OddsJam Props app, which I will pull up on my screen here, this is completely free to download on anywhere you get, any iOS store, I should say. And let's just look at how Carson Wentz has done 2 weeks into his Commander's career. We're looking for passing yards. 313, 337. Typical Carson Wentz fashion. He has turned the ball over. He has gone down, needing his team to win. He's gone over this total literally his only 2 games with the Commanders. So I know that like last 5, last 10, last 25, he hasn't gone over it a lot. These were with the Colts when they were leaning on their running game with Jonathan Taylor. These last 2 games with the Commanders, he's been throwing the ball a ton. They also have great weapons, 3 legitimately good receivers. So I love this Carson Wentz over 240.5 passing yards. I think it's my favorite just from a handicapping perspective, but all of these make sense from a math perspective. So I like all of them. So I ended up putting them into a same game parlay. I'm just going to put a quarter of a unit on this one, $25. So for those of you at home who are trying to unit size these parlays, I generally don't put more than a quarter unit on a parlay unless I'm doing some sort of money line favorite parlay. Then I put a unit on that one because they're teams that I'm very confident in winning, and I know that I'm getting positive expected value on a team that is highly likely to win. So I'll put a full unit on those. For these, I'll just put a quarter unit. So in this case, we're looking at Carson Wentz over 240.5 passing yards, Jamar Chase over 5.5 receptions, and Dalvin Cook under 17.5 receiving yards. So let me go ahead and lock this one in. This parlay has been placed. Now, I mentioned that all these bets have positive expected value. So let me talk about that for a second. All of these bets were found using OddsJam, as I mentioned, filtered specifically for Caesars because I know they had a ton of player props. Kept the recommended filters on, so I got the best of the best. So this first one, Jamar Chase over 5.5 receptions. If you first look at the play, the OddsJam line with the VIG removed has it at about -106, -107 if you want to round up. We locked it in on Caesars at -104. And look at where the other books pricing this play have this market priced at. DraftKings has it at -125, significantly favoring the over. The OddsJam line has it at -123. This is pulled from Pinnacle, the sharpest sportsbook in the world. Significantly favoring the over. Caesars is the only book of these 3 that thinks the under is the more likely scenario. And if you want to open this up in a new tab, you just right-click View Event Page, open in a new tab. It shows you where every book is pricing this total at. So in terms of receptions, it shows you not just where books are pricing this like 5.5 specifically, but where they price his receptions total. So you can see T. Higgins is 5 and 5.5. Now Jamar Chase, they only have it at 5.5, but still, when you compare to these 2 books, like a pretty insane outlier, this -104 on Caesars. It's the same thing when you look at Carson Wentz over 240.5 passing yards. If you open this one up in a new tab, no big odds, first of all, have it at +101. We locked it in +104 on Caesars. Same thing here, -115 on DraftKings, -115 on Pinnacle. We got it at +104 on Caesars. Now for passing yards, because these yards are higher numbers than obviously receptions, if you view this in a new tab, it'll show you the holistic betting market, a better example than just the reception. So if you open this up in a new tab, we can see where every book prices Carson Wentz's passing yardage total at. BetMGM has it at 239.5, but they're favoring the over. And then Prize Picks has it at 13 yards higher than what Caesars has it at, and Caesars and all these other books. So PointsBet thinks that it should be priced at 253.5, heavily, significantly over the 240.5. Now, this is probably a good Prize Picks entry. If you were doing Prize Picks, I actually would take this under 253.5, and I would middle this because it's not out of the realm of possibility that Carson Wentz ends between 240 and 253 passing yards. But for this purposes, just locking it in the parlay, I got it at plus 104. So I locked this one in. Again, I put a quarter unit on this one. And I do really like those two individually. So I'm going to lock those in individually as well. I'm going to put a half unit on each one. So that way, if one of them, if they both hit, but the Dalvin Cook one loses, then I will still be profitable from both of these. So Carson Wentz, half unit over. And then I want Jamar Chase in the Jets game. Hopefully the Bengals get it back together. I think they do. They're playing against a defense in the Jets that is not nearly as good as the team's defenses they've been playing against. Minus 104, yeah. Which, like the Steelers defensive line specifically, torched Bengals offensive line. Same thing with the Cowboys. The Jets can't do that. So locked these both in individually. So let me just add them to my bet tracker, and then I will go ahead and get on out of here. But in terms of the same game parlay, I love doing this, using OddsJam, finding positive expected value plays with the same book, putting them all into a parlay and making yourself a positive expected value same game parlay, or just regular parlay, depending on what you're looking at. So this one I put 50 on as well, and that is going to be it. So for those of you tailing at home, individually, I took Jamar Chase over 5.5 receptions. I took Carson Wentz over 240.5 passing yards, and then I took a three-leg parlay with Dalvin Cook under 17.5 receiving yards, and then the same two-player prop. So that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. If you're tailing this, any one of these three, all of them, let me know. We'd love to hear it. But that's it. So thanks for watching, and have a good one.